fun. I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again. Thank you.
Go yourself. But go yourself. Is that clear?
Just look at it. Just look at it.
So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. I know I am, knowing that Trump has passed an executive order to stop the insane experimental treatments being done by deranged doctors, and in my opinion, deranged parents, under the guise of affirmation. That's right. The executive order from Donald Trump now protects youths from all sorts of horrendous things. This is probably one of the biggest victories so far that the Donald Trump presidency has brought, and it's only been 8 days. The executive order I want to share with and share some of the reaction, because people like Matt Walsh obviously have worked tirelessly, and many more. Riley Gaines have talked about this kind of stuff. So let's go to this. Trump's legendary start to his second term continues. This is a massive win. It also sets up the stage for crippling lawsuits against the butchers who did this to so many. We keep racking up wins on this issue, total domination on the scoreboard. By the way, we'll be talking about this on my live stream today at 1 Eastern with Hannah Claire and Styx. If you haven't yet, please do follow Quartercast if you're a YouTube-only viewer. It'll be linked in the description below. Really trying to reach 100,000 subscribers there. Or ideally, you'll download the Rumble app, follow The Quartering there. Almost 300,000 subscribers on Rumble, so that's growing very great too. If you tried the Rumble app a while ago and you haven't used it, download it again, and because it's being constantly updated. So Matt Walsh continued. So let's look at that. Let's look at this first. President Trump ends the terrible stuff happening to America's youth. This will put a stop to the medieval witchcraft masquerading as healthcare. Massive. By the authority vested in me and President, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Across the country today, medical professionals are maiming and sterilizing a growing number of impressionable youth under the radical and false claims that adults can change their gender through a series of irreversible medical interventions. This is a dangerous trend. It will be a stain on our nation's history, and it must end. I mean, who will protect these? Jamie Mitchell, who was also, part of a group that has spoken out against this. I actually can't believe it. I feel like I'm dreaming. This is what all of us at GAG have been fighting tooth and nail for nearly 3 years. Thank you, Donald Trump. Here's the full executive order, by the way. Countless kids soon regret that they have had these procedures done and begin to grasp the horrifying tragedy that they will never be able to conceive children or their own of their own, or nurture their children ever again. More so, these vulnerable youth's medical bills may rise throughout their lifetime, as they are often trapped with lifelong medical complications, losing a war with their own bodies, and tragically sterilization. Accordingly, it is the policy of the United States that it will not fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called transition of a child from one gender to another, and it will rigorously enforce all laws that prohibit or limit these destructive and life-altering procedures. Section 1, they define it's anybody under 19. Anybody under 19. I'm totally fine with this. If you want to do it, when you're 18, well, I would have said 18, I suppose, but if you want to do this to yourself when you're 18, that's your choice. I would, hope that you would rethink it. I would hope that whatever doctor, did this procedure would have some serious repercussions. But I mean, you're an adult. Ending reliance on junk science. The blatant harm done to kids by this chemical and surgery cloaks itself as a medical necessity, spurred by guidance from the World Professional Association of Trans Health, which lacks scientific integrity In light of scientific concern, the WPATH guidance, agencies shall rescind or amend all policies that rely on WPATH guidance, including WPATH Standards of Care version 8. Within 90 days of this order, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, should be Robert F. Kennedy, I hope, shall publish a review of the existing literature on best practices for promoting the health of children who assert gender dysphoria, rapid onset gender dysphoria, which comes from TikTok in my opinion, or other identity-based confusion. Like, people go through confusing periods. I understand that. Gender dysphoria is a real thing, just like body dysmorphia is a real thing, and it needs real treatment, therapy, time, support of the family and friends. But what it doesn't need is permanent medical procedures. This is a procedure that turns you into a lifelong patient of the medical system. And that's ultimately what this is. Here you have President Trump's from Riley Gaines has signed an EO ordering for the immediate halting of chemical castration and other procedures on those young. Trump will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in this no longer meets federal health and safety standards. They will be terminated from receiving federal funds effective immediately. Absolute W. Hit a like on the video right now. Trump signs executive. Now let's look at the media's reaction. Trump signs executive order to defund youth gender affirming care. There is no such thing as youth gender affirming care. Outside of the fact of, again, the support of your friends and family, the support of your church, a therapist, or whatever the case is, sure, I'll call that gender affirming care. But surgeries and chemicals are not. Policy is the administration's latest in a series of attacks against trans people. The latest executive order applies to anybody under 19, categorizing 18-year-olds within that. So even when you turn 18, you got to wait another year. The department was also directed to regulate programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act. Essential health benefits required federally funded manuals of diseases and disorders. Chase and Strangio said today's order lays out a clear plan to shut down life-saving medical care for trans youth nationwide. There's no such thing as trans youth, okay? And having a double mastectomy at a healthy 15-year-old is not life-saving. It's life-damaging at the very least. Life-altering at the very least. Overriding the role of families, putting politics between patients and doctors. Yeah, that's why doctors would always say to parents to talk them into these procedures, oh, do you want a kid that's deceased or do you want a kid that's trans? And they would pressure these parents into these procedures before the kid's even fully developed. Save the tomboys. We don't have to cram their bodies full of hormones and surgical procedures. LGBTQ media advocacy group, Gladson in a statement, called his executive order appallingly inaccurate and incoherent and has already ruled unconstitutional by one judge last week. Well, how could it be ruled unconstitutional before it existed? It added that language was increasingly extreme in defaming trans people and spreading terrible disinformation about healthcare. Well, I don't think that a healthy young woman having a double mastectomy is healthcare. It's like it's pseudoscience. It's Frankensteinery. Drugs like puberty blockers are temporary and reversible, they say, and used for both trans and non-trans youth who experience early onset puberty. Do we have any data on this? The meltdown is legendary. Look, if you want to do this stuff when you're an adult, that's your decision. Here's law students reacting to it. Trump restricts access to gender affirming treatment for trans youth. Again, any outlet that calls it gender affirming treatment, you know which side of the line they're on. They're on the line of pseudoscience. Here you see Donald Trump's tweet. Today was my great honor to sign an executive order banning the chemical castration and all this stuff happening to innocent people in the USA. Our nation will no longer fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support so-called gender affirming care, which has already ruined far too many precious lives. My order directs agencies to use every available means to cut off federal financial participation in institutions would seek to provide these barbaric medical procedures that should have never been allowed to take place. Yeah. I mean, people bringing up circumcision. I mean, sure, let's fight one fight at a time. You know, Viagra, hair transplants, and men taking HRT are gender affirming care. No, that's actually not true. See, the left is out here now running defense for their destruction of children because they're demonic. Viagra has nothing to do with affirming your gender. Hair transplants has nothing to do with affirming your gender. Actually, both men and women get hair transplants. Men taking testosterone does not affirm them being men. You know, the people are coping and seething in here, but protect youth. If they want to do this kind of stuff when they get older, that's fine. Matt Walsh actually continued. I wanted to go to he had another take, which I thought was worth sharing here real quick. Here. Where is this? Trump's EO on this stuff is without exaggeration one of the greatest executive orders ever written. An absolute death blow to the gender butchers. One of the few things left to do is investigate confessed criminals like Eli Ehrlich, who are circumventing these bans by sending these drugs illegally through the mail. Hopefully the DOJ will look into this and hold those admitted felons are accountable. This is actually wild because now this individual, by the way, who has a very interesting history of being aggressive with women, terrible, terrible crimes that are covered up by the LGBTQ community because, well, it's a bad look for them. This person has admitted to sending, puberty blockers and things like that to people, breaking the law, never been arrested. Now these people are fearing for actual consequences in their life, and I'm absolutely here for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't liked yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.